LQBuzz News, your daily dose of Chinese entertainment and celebrity buzz. Episode 27 of the Immortal Ascension, tightens everything to a knife's edge. The war drums are already fading when the real ache begins, the cost of staying. Huangfeng Valley, once a backwater refuge for quiet cultivation, becomes a storm front, wards trembling, elders scattered, juniors looking for exits that keep shrinking. Amid the rush to survive, one figure refuses the obvious path. Han Li, patron saint of discretion, simply doesn't run. It's a decision that lands with the force of a talisman striking stone. For seasons, Han Li's gift has been outlasting trouble rather than courting it. He knows when to duck, when to bargain, when to disappear. That pragmatism has carried him through ambushes and narrow alleys of fate. But when his master steps toward a battlefield no one expects to win, something in Han Li's careful compass reorients from safety to duty. The series plays this pivot without speeches. You read it in posture and silence, the apprentice falling into step behind his teacher, the tilt of a head that says I know where this ends, and I'll go anyway. Their bond is not the blazing, melodramatic kind. It's the thread that's been quietly stitched since the first lesson, frayed by danger, dyed by small kindnesses, now pulled taut in public view. The battle itself is less a single clash than a cascade. Defensive arrays flicker like dying fireflies. Flying swords carve bright arcs that burn out against stronger arts. Smoke and spirit storms roll over the valley's rooftops, swallowing names as fast as they're called. The choreography keeps the camera tight on faces, not just on flashes of power, so each exchange feels personal. Teacher shielding student, senior covering junior, strangers buying seconds they can spend themselves. What makes the sequence sting isn't the spectacle, it's inevitability. The enemy is better supplied, better positioned, and untroubled by conscience. Huangfeng Valley fights with grit and grief rather than advantage. The episode lets that reality settle, scene by scene, until hope becomes the currency no longer accepted. Even small victories feel like IOUs written to fate. When the turn finally comes, it's quiet. A barrier fails, a breath shortens, a promise is kept the only way it can be. Han Li does not transform into a savior by force of will. He becomes something rarer, a witness who stays long enough to honor the fall. In a world that equates progress with ascension, the most human act on screen is the simplest, standing beside a master who will not stand much longer. The aftermath is plain and devastating. No grand funeral rites. No swelling chorus. Just stone in memory. Han Li raising a steel becomes the episode's true finishing blow, a gesture that acknowledges both the teacher's end and the disciple's debt. The camera lingers on the inscription not to invite tears, but to underline responsibility. A marker is a boundary, it's also a beginning. He sets it down, and in that moment, sets himself a course. Character-wise, this is Han Li's quiet revolution. He doesn't shed his practicality, he refines it. Running has always kept him alive, staying now gives it life meaning. The show understands that courage isn't the absence of fear but the management of it. By choosing to stand when the numbers say flee, Han Li graduates from survivor to steward, of lessons, of legacy, of the fragile bridge between mortal and more. Craft choices amplify the theme. The sound design fades out of key beats so you can hear cloth, breath, and the scrape of boots on stone. Color drains from the palette as the valley's options narrow, then returns in earth tones around the steel, subtle, grounded, a reminder that memory anchors better than flash. Performances hold the line, restraint over hysteria, steadiness over spectacle. When an eye listens, the frame doesn't rush in, it trusts you to notice. Thematically, episode 27 argues that the path to immortality is paved with mortal acts. Not grand prophecies, not invincible techniques, but small choices that compound, staying, carrying, remembering. In a genre that often treats mentors as expendable steps on a hero's ladder, this chapter insists that steps deserve names, and that climbing means looking back long enough to write them. By the time Han Li turns from the steel, the war has already moved on, but the story sharpens. He walks away lighter in companions, heavier in purpose. The final battle, teased as imminent, suddenly feels less like a destination and more like a crucible he's now ready to enter, not because he's become unstoppable, but because he understands what must be protected when victory is impossible. If you're watching for flashy duels, episode 27 delivers. If you're watching for heart, it does something braver. It lets a cautious young cultivator choose presence over survival, grief over escape, gratitude over fear. In a world obsessed with ascension, this is an episode about what keeps your feet on the ground, and why that might be the only way to truly rise. Thanks for watching El Cupa's News. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for your daily fix of Chinese entertainment. See you in the next video.